The Houston Zoo is a great place to work. We have a lot of animals here at the zoo that were born here. We also have animals that came from other zoos for breeding recommendations or for companionship. We also have some animals here at the zoo that were confiscated from private hands or from smuggling, and so the zoo really provides a home for animals that would not have homes otherwise. Several of our animals in my primate department are confiscations, as well as the rest of the zoo. So the zoo in general, a lot of people are not sure how they feel about zoos. A reason being that some people don't think animals should be in captivity. And the main reason for zoos is not so that we can keep animals in captivity. One of the main reasons is educational. A lot of people, unfortunately, they don't have the money or the means or the time to go somewhere and see a wild chimpanzee in Africa.
Hi, I'm joined here with Helen, an employee at the Houston Zoo. Helen's here with the chimp exhibit. Helen, which is the smartest chimp to ever learn?
So, out of this group?
Yes.
So it's kind of, they have different levels of intelligence, like different kind of things. Annie, who's the one in the with the blanket right now behind us, she's really smart socially. So anything to do with the groups and like who to make alliances with, kind of reading other chimpanzees and using that to her advantage, she's really smart that way. We've got others like Willie, who is our youngest, who's really good at figuring out training. He learns behaviors really, really fast. Then we have Lulu, who is really good at figuring out like puzzle feeders and things like that. So they all kind of, it's different levels of intelligence. Generally, Lulu and Abe's family, so everyone I mentioned, Lulu, Sally, or Annie, Willie, they're all from the same family. So that's a very intelligent family.
And then, are any of these chimps, when they're first brought in, bullied in any way by the others?
So chimpanzees have a hierarchy. In the wild and in captivity, there's always a ranking. There's a dominant male, and then after that, everyone has a ranking. There's a second male, there's a dominant female, and that hierarchy is always changing. So they'll have small conflicts over, let's say we have bananas in front of them, and someone really wants all the bananas and someone else touches it. Then they will get into like little fights over that, they'll chase each other and things like that, but that's not, it's kind of just all the time. When new chimps come in, it's kind of a special process for introducing them because they don't know each other and they get nervous and things like that.
So I saw earlier the painting in the iPad.
Yes.
How does that help the chimpanzees?
So chimpanzees are really intelligent. In the wild, they use all different kinds of tools. They're always trying to figure out how to get food out of, termite mounds, and how to get food, how to get away from predators, figure out their social structure and things like that. So in captivity, we provide their food for them, and so we do different kinds of enrichment items. So they're still having to use their brain, because it's kind of like people. We don't want them to get bored. We like having things to do. So it's the same with chimpanzees and great apes and primates. We always want to give them things to do, since these guys are so intelligent, and they do have preferences like favorite colors and things like that. The iPad and painting give them ways to kind of express that. Some of them really love the iPad. We didn't actually have Willie for the iPad demonstration, but like there's different levels. Some of them will spend forever, some of them will spend less time. It's the same with painting. Some of them love to paint, some of them don't. It also depends on the day. Sometimes they feel like painting, sometimes they don't. It's for them, so if someone doesn't want to paint, we don't do anything to make them paint. We don't do anything to make them, here's the iPad, here's the painting. If you want to paint, you can. If you don't have to.
Okay. Thank you, Helen.
You're welcome.
I'm Tyler Harden. I'm with Helen, who is an employee at the zoo. Now, how long does it take to integrate the chimps at the Houston Zoo?
It completely depends on the chimpanzees. Whenever we do introductions, we're always observing the chimpanzee behavior. We're watching them for any cues they might give us as to whether they get along and what's going on with the group. So it could take, a very short amount of time, or it could take years. It just depends on what the chimpanzees are doing and what we're reading from their behavior. We do a lot of watching and observation on that.
Now, are any more fond of each other than the others?
So chimpanzees live in those big groups and they form alliances, and a lot of times the really long-lasting alliances, like the two mothers of the 10 that we have out right today, Lulu and Lucy, they have been together for most of their life. They helped each other raise some of the babies, so they have a very strong alliance. They're very, very close. If Lucy gets worried, she goes to Lulu for support. So any of those alliances that form that have lasted for years, they do get very close. They are very social, so they do have a strong friendship.
Now, the emotions of the chimps, are they different compared to what would be in like the wild of their emotions?
So their emotions aren't different. They'd feel the same, you know, if they're scared, if they're happy, like they'd experience all of those emotions in the wild and in captivity. Just different behaviors you might see different behaviors in the zoo versus captivity or zoo versus the wild, things like that, just depending on their background.
Now, what's the role of the conservation of the Houston Zoo?
So zoos play a really good or important role in conservation. It's a way for the public to connect with animals as well as for information about conservation projects to be relayed to the public. The Houston Zoo works with a lot of different conservation organizations. We have what's called Spotlight on Species, in which keepers pick a conservation project and they educate the public about it as well as fundraise. We've done a few for howler monkeys, chimpanzees, shafak, things like that, and we just pick a project that we're interested in, educate the public about it, and raise money for them. And we've actually done things like with our howler monkey Spotlight on Species, we've actually been able to go to Belize and help with the release of rehabilitated howler monkeys. So they were confiscated howler monkeys that people kept as pets, and we helped with kind of rehabilitating them. There's an organization called Wild Tracks that does that, and we've helped with that and then releases and things like that. So they play a really important role with kind of connecting the public who may not be able to travel to Africa or Belize and places like that with those animals and with conservation efforts.